Hello. In this video, we will talk about web application architecture, its tiers, that is the front end, the middleware or the application layer, and the database layer. So, here we start. These are the three tiers of a web application architecture, which include the presentation layer, which is the first or the front ending layer. Second is the application layer, and then third we have the data layer. So talking about the presentation layer or the front end layer, it is also called the client tier because it is front ending to the client. So client is the one who's interacting with this layer. The main purpose of the client tier or the presentation layer is the UI, that is user interface and the visualizations. And that includes the programming language like HTML, then we have CSS. In addition to that, we have JavaScript also, which come under the front end or the presentation layer. Second in the list is the application layer, which is also called as the logic tier. And this is the tier which is responsible for API services and related communication. So in that case, the key programming language that we use here include the JavaScript, then we have TypeScript, in addition to that Go, Python, and all these stuff. Further, the application layer further communicates downstream with the database layer and upstream with the presentation layer. Talking about the third layer, which is data layer or the database layer, it is basically about data storage or managing the data and querying it. So this includes the SQL or NoSQL type of databases which are used in the database layer. MongoDB is also one of them. So this is about the information about the three layers, how they are communicating. Now we'll use one of the example scenarios which will further illustrate on how the communication between the three layers is happening and how they interact with the outside world. In this scenario, we will take example of an online bookstore. So we have user who wants to access the online bookstore. So options for the user are either on a mobile, use a mobile app which will have those online books available, or for the website, in that case I will call it abc.com, go onto the laptop and access that website which has got the online books which are available. That is the website abc.com. So work of the presentation layer here is displaying or showing the facade of the online book, and in addition to that, showcasing that search box. In this case, the user was not able to find the online books here directly, so the user types in the search box the information what they are looking for. For example, in that case, web application architecture is what the user is looking for. Now in this case, the presentation layer will further send the query towards the application layer, which is also called the logic layer. Logic because it puts in that business logic into that, applies filters on that query, and in addition to that, also responsible for the user authentication also in that case. So when it receives the query, it puts in that logic into that, and after that, this query is sent to the third layer towards the downstream via, let us say, this is a SQL query for the database for the information about that web application architecture book that they're looking forward to. Now, this is the third layer, the database layer, which stores all the books like title, then the author, then in that case the inventory also. All this information is available with the database layer. Database layer may be in SQL or PostgreSQL, and in fact, whatever the information and records it has, and whatever the query has been sent from the application layer, it responds back by rather returning the matching record it has got in its database. When it reaches the application layer further sends it back to the presentation layer. Now this is the presentation layer which renders the information about the book, rather book along with the author, the title, the price, all that information is fetched back to the user or the customer via the presentation layer. And in fact, application layer and database layer will still not be visible to the user. Only thing that is visible for the user is the presentation layer. So this is how the overall scenario of a three-tier architecture in web application takes place. Just for the information, we have different online e-commerce website. Let us say Amazon.com is there. We have eBay, and we can talk about the Walmart also. All these application online e-commerce website have the same type of architecture. The presentation, which is showcasing the user interface information, then the application and the database layer, which are at the back end and providing that information, whatever the product the user wants to buy. So this was all about the three-tier architecture in web application. Hope that helps us elucidate how that flow and information carries from one tier to the other. Thank you.